Okay, we're going to try and install MySQL now and get it up and running so that you can basically make a query from your browser, talk to a servlet on the web server running inside Eclipse, that's Tomcat, and from Tomcat connect to a database, get some information back and send it back to the browser again. Now that we might have to take in two brief tutorials to do that, but let's get started on how to install the database and do our first table and our first query. So the database we're going to be using is called MySQL, and go to mysql.com, and what we're going to be using is the community version, which is the free one. So I'm going to go to straight away, I'm going to go to downloads and to the very bottom where it says MySQL Community Edition. That'll redirect you to a site called dev.mysql.com, and then in the downloads section here we're going to go to let me read this. Fabric Cluster Community Server. Click on that and it should give me a macOS version. There we go, it's detected automatically that I'm on Mac. And I'm going to download the DMG file, the one on the very bottom, 331 megs. There we go. I don't want to sign in at the minute, although you can if you want to, you can make a username. I'm just going to start my download. Save it for a second in downloads, and I'll pause while that downloads 331 megs. Okay, there it is. I'm going to double click on that, open it up. Go through the installation procedure. And this is quite important. It's going to create a temporary password for my database, and I'm going to need this. So I'm going to copy, well actually I'm just going to copy this weird piece of text here. Whoops, make sure I only get the text and not the line as well, which is the which is the password that it's going to give me. And what I can do is I can paste that somewhere, or I can just keep it in my clipboard. I'll keep it in my clipboard for now, I'll trust myself. I did press copy, didn't I? Let's just make sure. Oh yeah. There we go. Copy, right, okay. So I'm going to close that down. Now you'll notice now, if you go into your config, just down here, that you now have something extra in your configuration panel. At the very bottom you've got a MySQL one, which allows you to start the database server. At the minute it's stopped, so I can't connect to it, it's just installed on my hard disk. Now I'm going to download one more thing which is going to make my life a lot easier. I'm going to download the SQL Workbench, which is, again, it's a free open source tool which allows me to connect to the database and add tables and queries and fields, etc. visually rather than doing it all using SQL. I'll explain what that means in a minute. Let's just get a copy of that. Again, I'll download the DMG file. Save that in my downloads. So there it is now. I'm going to open that up. And again, go through the installation procedure. Drag it into my applications folder. And now inside my apps folder, I should be able to see it. There we go. Okay, so I won't start that up just yet. Let me just close a couple of windows. What I'm going to do first of all is in my configuration, if you remember, I've got a new thing, MySQL. I'm going to start the SQL server. And I can see it's now running. Great. And it will start in the future automatically when I start up my my server. Okay, I'm not sure whether I'll leave that on for now. Okay, so the server has started. I am going to open up my SQL workbench as well. And there we go, there's the welcome logon screen. And this is where I'm going to need my password that I copied. So I'm going to connect to my local database there, type in my password. Fingers crossed I copied it right. There we go. Type it in again, and I'm going to give it a new password. Let's keep it very simple for now. You got to remember this, because if you forget this, you're in trouble. Okay, I'm going to use compsci. And now it asks me to log in using my own password, so I've just made it compsci. There we go. And this is my new database, and it's running on my database server, which is on my laptop on my local machine. I can connect to this like I can to Tomcat, the web server. I can connect to this database from any other computer running in my local area network, which we can prove a little bit later on. Now, before we go any further, you need to know that a database stores data in tables. And all I'm going to do right now, I'm not going to teach you the theory of databases and fields and tables. I'm just going to make an example table very quickly. So inside, well, first of all, I'm going to make a new instance of a database. It's called a schema. I click on this icon up here with a plus sign and the big file. And I'm going to call this is going to be a database about my things. Okay, that's one name which contains the description, which encapsulates the description of all the different things I want to save inside it. So I'm just going to call it my things for now. You might call it, if you had a project about books, you might call it library books. If you had a project about some sort of social network or sports network, you might call it sports network, whatever it is, but it has to be a single word, or you can have multiple words joined together with underscores. So I'm gonna call this my things. And I can specify what language or what coding it is. I'm just going to go for big 5, which is the default coding in terms of languages, character sets, etc. There we go. I'm going to apply that. And in Workbench, it helps me because normally I would have to type out a language called SQL to create a database, to query it and to add data. What it does for me is SQL Workbench allows me to do this physically or visually on the screen, and then it shows me what SQL it's about to execute. So I'm going to just agree with that, and it's done it. That's absolutely fine. And if I look now, I've got a database here called My Things. There's another database called sys, which is just for the system, which we can ignore for now. My Things is actually empty. It's got no tables, no views, no stored procedures, and no functions. So I'm going to create a table here. I'll make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to call my table fruits, for example. A table consists of columns, which are basically fields inside the table. I'm going to go, I'll give mine first of all an ID, because everything should have an ID, every single table you make. It should be, well, I'm going to make it a number. It's going to be the primary key, so I'm going to tick PK. It should not be blank, so I'm going to tick not null. It should be unique, so I'm going to tick UQ for unique. What is UN? Unsigned? No, definitely not. No. Auto increment. Okay, I've got two choices. I can either make a number which is generated automatically and goes up by 1 every time I add a new fruit in, which is exactly what I want, or I can make it kind of a random number. So I'm going to go for that. Okay, other things I want to know about fruits. Name, and it's going to be a text field, which in database terms is a varchar. And I put the length in. Let's say the name of a fruit should be about 20 characters max. It's fine. I probably want to know as well the color of a fruit. I'm going to give that, I'm going to give it, say, 10 characters long. And imagine I'm going to buy this. I'm going to, let's see, price. It's an interesting one. I'm going to give that I want a decimal number. There we go, decimal. Excellent. And it's probably enough for now. I think I'll put one more field in. What else do we need to know about a fruit? Okay, why not? Poisonous. Poisonous, and this is going to be a boolean, I guess. Let's see if we get a boolean in there. Yeah. I think in database terms it's still called a yes/no field. It used to be anyway. Let's have a quick look. Boolean. Oh, there we go. No, didn't want tiny int. I wanted boolean. Lots of different types here. You'll use very few of these. Try and stick to the top of the list when you're choosing. Where are we? Upload, medium, int, small, tiny. Right, what happened to boolean there? Okay, I have a suspicion that tiny int is boolean. Let's just check that. Yes, indeed it is. Okay, so tiny int means basically a 1 byte number, which they're taking as a boolean. Okay, so I just leave it like that for now. So fab. I'm gonna close this. It's going to ask me if I want to save it. Yes, I do. It'll show me the SQL language that it's going to use to create that table. That all looks pretty reasonable to me, so I'm going to apply it. It has worked. And if I look now inside my tables, I have a table called fruits, and I can go in there and look at the columns in it, and I can look at everything else about it. Now, what I can also do with fruits is I can either modify the structure if I want to change it. I can get some information about it, which is read-only, or I can look at the data inside it. So I'm going to click on that. You can tell up there it's the SQL that it's executed is select star from mythings.fruits. That means give me all the fruits, and this is what it's selected. There are no fruits inside my database, so I'm just going to add a couple. I can either type them in straight away there, or I can just go into a form view, which is a little bit easier. Now remember, we said the ID field is automatically generated. So it'll do that for me. I don't need to fill that in. I'm going to say apple color green. Let's just keep all of these for now. You can do it in any case you want. I'm going to keep them lowercase so I can search for them easily. Price, long time since I bought an apple. Let's say $1.50. Poisonous. This is going to get interesting now. Can I put a Y or an N in here? Let's try N. There's boolean, it was true or false. Let's try F, see what happens. Is it going to allow me to proceed? I'm going to try applying that. See, it's created that SQL line. I'll try it. And it gives me an error. Okay, this is good. Incorrect integer value F for column poisonous. So it's not an F. Is it a T? Oh, sorry, is it an N? Let's try that. Apply. Saying it's not accepting an N either. I wish I hadn't asked for a boolean now. Okay, let's just try 0 because 1 is true and 0 is false. Apply that. I think that will work. There we go. Okay, I'm going on to my next one now. So go back to my results grid, type in there, well, I don't need to fill in the first field. Apple, I'm going to have peach. I'll just do this in this view now. Peach, yellow, price, let's say $3. Interesting, look what's happened here. With price, it seems to have rounded that up. Now, why on earth has it done that? Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. Price $3, poisonous, no. Let's have tangerine, that's going to be orange. Price $2, poisonous, no. And then what I have in here, I'll have a plum, purple, price $4, poisonous, none. And then I'll have a fictitious snake berry, which is black. Costs $1 and is poisonous. I'll put a 1 in there. Okay, now I'm going to apply that, which will generate this code to insert all of these into the database. Okay, great. Now, I have now created my database. That will automatically save, or it has automatically saved. Now I can connect to it from Java and from my servlet and try and get some results back. But first of all, before we go, I'm just going to close that down, and I'm going to go into query, and I'm just going to type in first of all use, and the name of my database was fruits. I know it wasn't, it was my things. Use my things, semicolon at the end of each line. I can execute what is on the cursor line by clicking this button, so that's instantly going to connect to my database. Then I'm going to say select star, which means everything, from fruits, semicolon, and there we go. So my database is working perfectly. I've just confirmed that. Now I'm going to try and access it from Java and from Eclipse. So let's go back to Eclipse. I'm going to have to add something in here first of all. I need to go back to the MySQL page and download something else, a connector for Java. This is something that I can put into my Java library so that Java knows how to connect to this particular database. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to look for the Java one, which is that one, connector J. And it's platform independent, so I don't need to choose. I just need to choose which format I want it in. I'll go for the zip. It's easier for me. No thanks, I'll just download it. Save it in my downloads folder, as always. And I'm going to go into my Finder and open that up. Now inside the folder that expands into, there is this file, which is what you need. This is the Java library, which will allow my Java programs in Eclipse to connect to the database. So I'm going to pick that up. Well, let's expand my folders first. In my web project here, I have a folder called web content, which has a folder called webinf, which has a folder called lib. And that's exactly where this has to go. I'm going to drag this into lib, release it, and choose copy files. And just check that that has appeared inside there, and now we are all good to go. We are ready to write a servlet which connects to the database and gets back some results and prints them on a screen. So I'm just going to pause there because that's enough of me talking, and it's probably a good time to take a break, and then we'll start to write a Java servlet.